This episode has been brought to you by JustNForm.com. If you're tired of being censored, tired of having your data stolen and sold, go to JustNForm.com, a social media site where all voices are welcome.
You know what's in this cup? Just sipping some tea. I'm sipping some tea in honor of all of the tea that is about to get spilled on Wall Street. See, some of y'all may not know what tea is, okay? And I don't know what everybody else associates tea with when we're talking about colloquials, but in the Black community, when someone is spilling tea, that means they're unnecessarily or sometimes necessarily unveiling or revealing everybody's business, oftentimes to the detriment of that person. Now, why do I say this? Some of you may not have heard because she's been busy doing other things like chasing Mitch McConnell all over Capitol Hill because he's hiding from a first-year congresswoman who apparently the right thought was not a threat. Ben Shapiro said was unimportant, and yet cameras follow her everywhere. Congress people follow her everywhere. Twitter following is what, at 2.2 million? She's slowly catching up to Bernie Sanders. She's at this very moment may be more popular than Bernie Sanders. But the reason I'm sipping tea is in honor of all of the tea Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is about to spill on Wall Street. Now, why do I say that? Because according to Bloomberg, Ocasio-Cortez is poised to join the panel overseeing Wall Street. Let's take a look at the article. Wall Street. Get ready for a lot more scrutiny from the U.S. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The New York lawmaker who has become a sensation amongst progressives will almost certainly join the House Financial Services Committee after a group of fellow Democrats on the party steering committee voted to recommend her for the panel on Tuesday, according to people familiar with the matter. Two other recently elected progressive Democrats, Rashida Tlaib, shout out to her, from Michigan, Katie Porter from California, who will not leave Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's hip at this point, but whatever, are also poised to join the panel as well, some people said. They requested anonymity because of the new members that have not been announced yet. Tulsi Gabbard, lawmaker from Hawaii, says that she plans to run for president in 2020 and is also poised to join that committee as well. Because the committee plays such a big role in setting policies for banks, hedge funds, insurers, its members are often known for their fundraising prowess. So that's your Nancy Pelosi's of the world tend to sit on these type of committees. However, as you all know, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Tulsi Gabbard, and Rashida Tlaib, I can't speak for Katie because I'm not sure, but I know all three of them do not take money from anybody on Wall Street. Yet, progressives like Ocasio-Cortez, who have called for the biggest banks to be broken up, is expected to use the panel as a platform to call for more scrutiny of financial firms. The 29-year-old socialist Democrat from the Bronx is part of the new wave of lawmakers who have denounced income inequality while demanding the biggest earners pay much higher taxes. Hell, I would settle for them paying the taxes that they're supposed to be paying now and not shipping their money off to the Cayman Islands somewhere. But, that's a different discussion for a different day. Actually, I think that's a discussion for today, and we'll probably discuss that in a second. But the majority of House Democrats still have to sign off on Ocasio-Cortez joining the Financial Services panel. But the second vote will likely be akin to a rubber stamp now that the steering committee has already approved her membership. Representative Maxine Waters, a California Democrat, will lead the Financial Services panel. The committee has dozens of members whom would be senior to Ocasio-Cortez and other new members. She says, I am very grateful for the opportunity to sit on this committee as a freshman and look forward to working under the leadership of Maxine Waters, Ocasio-Cortez said on a Twitter post on Tuesday. Personally, she said in another post, I'm looking forward to digging into the student loan crisis, examining for-profit prisons and ICE detention centers, and exploring the development of public and postal banking to start. Wow. This is huge news. Basically, every single action, positive or negative, that we see taking place in the big banks on Wall Street, we will hear about it from right now, one of the most popular politicians in the country. I say this basically in every video I've done about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and of course, I'm going to say it again. When you're a progressive in Congress, your vote doesn't matter quite as much. Your individual vote doesn't matter quite as much. It's just because you're outnumbered by neoliberals and neocons. Like, you're extremely outnumbered by the establishment, right? AOC is not delusional. She's not naive to that point. However, she, like Bernie Sanders, like Tulsi Gabbard, hell, even Ro Khanna in some cases, they know that their power lies in their mandate as progressive voices. Just like Bernie Sanders is introducing this $15 an hour bill, and we're seeing it being introduced on both the Senate floor and the House floor, it will likely pass. The Republicans are going to fight it, but I think it'll pass in the House and probably get beat in the Senate. But guess what? Now, the Democrats, luckily for them, hopefully they don't mess it up, which they probably will, but that's a different discussion. But they have something to campaign on going forward. So now, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be, in an indirect, tangential type of way, controlling the message and the campaigning strategies of Democrats going forward. Now, what do I mean by that? If Wall Street is getting out of hand and her, Rashida Tlaib, and this Katie character who I've never heard of before but won't leave Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's side from California, if they are calling out Wall Street bankers saying, we're the Democrats, we're going to fight against these Wall Street bankers who are keeping you down, who are raising your interest rates, who are, doubling down on student loans and profiting off of prisons and things like that. Guess what? If it becomes a popular topic, which it almost certainly will, because everything Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talks about at this point becomes a popular topic. Guess what the Democrats have to start doing? Because Ocasio-Cortez has no problem speaking for Democrats, for or against them at this point. She will challenge the Democrats to say, this is what we have to take care of. And if you do not run on this platform, if you do not swear or promise to challenge these, the lack of reformation, lack of accountability on Wall Street, then I have no problem calling you out. Which she did to Nancy Pelosi when it came to the Green New Deal, telling her to hold up her end of the bargain. This is amazing. We get to see now, in my opinion, what Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is really made of. I mean, she went to school for economy. This is what she's good at. And she's already, according to sources close to her staff, she's already working with people who are specialized in the modern monetary theory and understand exactly how our economics work right now to figure out how to make sure tuition can get paid for, how to make sure the Green New Deal can get passed, because Wall Street has a lot to do with that. If you ask me, this first-year congresswoman knows exactly what she's doing. And the more attention the right gives her, the more they insult her, they don't realize they're elevating her. And she's going to keep proving them wrong. And by the end of this discussion, they will indeed look foolish, as she has become and is becoming the most popular politician in modern history. That is where she is at right now. That's her trajectory. And that's saying a lot considering how popular Bernie Sanders is. But that is her trajectory if we're being realistic. 2.2 million followers. After she got elected, she went from like 400, she had, when I first started following her on Twitter, my friend Michelangelo Hamilton, shout out to Michelangelo, interviewed AOC when no one knew who she was. She had like 300 followers on Twitter. Not an exaggeration at all. I saw her do that wonderful ad. Then she ended up with like 75,000, 100,000, something like that. She went from 100,000 followers to winning that election and getting 600,000 overnight. Over the next 2 to 3 months, you'll see her elevate even further, where she pulled back a little bit because she knew that they could still cheat her. And I said, once she realizes that that race is in the bag, when the DCCC is finally out of her hair, she will turn up the burners. Look what she has done. It's beautiful to see. It really is. So far, she hasn't let us down. And I encourage you all to keep following her closely. I'm sure we will be, it's nice to be able to evolve. Like as a working class citizen, it's nice to be able to evolve with a candidate like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Like with her. We've seen her as a bartender. I've seen her as an activist. So it's beautiful to see this type of growth. And I hope she continues to grow. Thanks for watching that segment of Mi Casa es Su Casa. You can donate to our Patreon and keep helping the network grow by clicking on the link in the description below. And also, make sure you join us at JustNForm.com. And finally, make sure you subscribe to us on Roku and be part of the very first independent news network on Roku TV. But more than anything else, always remember, find your balance. Peace.